Can you hear us now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, that was weird. I don't know what that was. Hello.
Mike!
It's called incompetence.
Well, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Is my camera okay?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Now we can see the top of your head.
Thanks for putting clothes on for the meeting. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no pants. I have no pants.
Well, of course. I mean, what do you need those for?
No pants and no underwear. So if I get up,
We'll look away. We'll put one of these.
I'll be a victim of cancel culture.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You'll be like that that one guy with the New Yorker, right?
Yep. Tubin.
Insane.
Jeffrey Tubin.
Well, we have faith that you won't do one of those.
Do you know him? Is he one of your colleagues from
No.
the circuit?
He was a whole different world. He was part of the legal community, and he really got famous right around the OJ trial.
Mm.
That's when. But I had never heard of him before the OJ. But when the OJ trial started, are we recording now? By the way,
Yeah, we were. We've recorded the whole time, but we can do the official start if you want.
Yeah. I don't want to get into this because this is. But the answer to your question, the short version is no. We were not colleagues.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I was more part of sports and entertainment.
All right.
All right. So everybody that's watching, we appreciate you coming in. Obviously, we're recording this. We're gonna have it on our YouTube channel soon. Today is a very special day for us. Not only are we bringing the SightCast back, but we're doing it for a special occasion. Our guest today is not only an acclaimed journalist, but he has put on the Inspired Word NYC, an amazing open mic series that we actually met at. So without this man right here, there's no way that Sight After Dark would exist. So everybody, please welcome Mike Geffner.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we're just really excited to talk to you. I mean, it's been, over a year since we've actually seen each other. I know we did the open mic once, and we're working on some things to do it again in probably a week or so. But we just wanted to talk. It's funny that we were talking about doing this on Zoom, and then because before, the whole thing with the Instagram didn't work out. So then we were talking about doing it on Zoom, and then literally the day we were talking about that, we see that you had booked the new show at the Triad, and that's so exciting. So how do you feel about it?
Well, it's been quite an odyssey this last year. Funny thing is, at the last few events that we did live and in person, I knew I was going to get COVID. I just knew I was going to get it because nobody was keeping their distance from me. People were like literally in my face asking me when they were going up on stage.
Right.
They were whispering things to me. I said, I'm going to get this thing. There's no way. If it's out there, I'm getting it.
Wow.
And sure enough, I would say literally 2 days later, I started to feel the symptoms.
Mm.
And from that point on, I had pretty, I would say, moderate symptoms for the next 2 months.
Oh, 2 months. Wow.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so the last time we saw you was at Trevor's show. It was Trevor McKnight's show.
And I made a joke and I even made a joke on stage that I was at a high risk group and I was going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And, because we had a packed house that night.
Yep.
And I remember everybody was all over me. I remember especially Boy Pierce, literally in my face. Literally in my face.
Yeah.
Bad Boy
And you were
Pierce,
just like-
man.
Well, no, back then, you didn't want to be rude to people.
Right.
So you did, normal precautions. I even brought Lysol in to Lysol the mic. And
I remember
table.
that.
But you don't want to be rude to people and say back away.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
So I didn't say back away, and of course that could have cost me my life. But so I had, like I said, it never got past moderate.
Well, that's good.
Thank God.
Because I do remember on Facebook, I remember you actually making a post like, guys, I'm going to be off Facebook for a little bit. And then you came back 2 weeks later
Right.
to let us know that you did have it. Like, I remember that.
It wasn't really 2 weeks later. It was quite a while. I didn't want to discuss it.
Okay.
I didn't want to make anybody nervous. I didn't know what it was at that point. So I just, I wanted to keep it to myself. I didn't tell, even my girlfriend at the time, I didn't even tell her. I didn't tell any of my close friends. Marvin didn't know.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Nobody knew. I kept it completely to myself. But I did tell people, because I remember Leah V, our assistant producer, asking me if I wanted to do anything on Zoom at some point. Mm-hmm. And I told her I wasn't ready to do it at that point, but I didn't tell her why.
Right.
So she yelled at me for not getting on board. He says, everybody's going to Zoom. You got to go to Zoom. The Inspired Word's got to go to Zoom. And I didn't want to tell her. So she got angry at me, not realizing that I had COVID at the time.
Right.
So, and she was going through her own COVID experience with her dad.
Right.
So it was a very bad time. But eventually I started telling people when I felt that I was in the danger zone. Because I was on the phone with my doctor pretty much every step of the way. And when I was out of the danger zone, I said, you know what? Maybe I should talk about this. Mm-hmm. Be like, since I'm somewhat of an influencer, maybe get out there and say something and let people know what I went through and what they should be aware of. And that's when you probably saw that post. But it was more than 2 weeks later.
Okay.
It may have been a month or a month and a half later.
Wow. Time flies.
Yeah, time has been very strange lately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes I think of things that happened before the lockdown and it feels like it just happened. And then I think of things that had happened during the lockdown and it feels like forever ago. You know?
Yeah. For me, it's the longest time ever. I feel like it's been 5 years since I did the show.
Seriously.
In person. So, it's been, trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. I'm not a kid. So now I've lost like a year and a half of this life. And I was, I don't have that many years left. And I was planning on using the last year and a half to maybe go on Broadway. We'd already made it off Broadway and we're doing very well. So I wanted to make the steps to get on Broadway.
Right.
So I had a couple of ideas that I was going to pursue in 2020. Obviously, that didn't happen. We had 8 shows planned off Broadway. 7 of them were canceled. So that hurt a lot. So I lost time. And at my stage, losing time is big. And I don't know if you guys were around, but I was blind in 2018. So I lost 7 months there as well. Mm-hmm. So I lost almost 2 years of my life. And so I've got a lot of things to think about what I want to do at this point.
Yeah. I remember when I met you, you had the you couldn't see. Yeah. Wow. So I guess I must have gotten you right at the tail end of that then.
Yeah, because I didn't.
Could I see it all at that point, or was I? Because
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because I had 2 operations, so I still wore the glasses even after the operations, because my doctor wanted me to protect my eyes as long as possible until they healed. So there was a point where I was wearing sunglasses and I could still see, but I had 0 vision for 7 months.
Wow.
Well, you're definitely a survivor. I mean, here we
so
are.
resilient.
I mean, we're talking. You made it through. You had COVID. I mean, sorry. The whole thing is it's so unfortunate, but it's fortunate that we're able to still be able to talk and be able to do this and keep going on and obviously we know that you just booked the show in September, which that's going to be the first live show back, right? Most likely, more or less.
Well, unless I do something at the Parkside, I have to see. This is all play it as it goes, because even the date at the Triad, if things don't look good around that date, I have to cancel that too.
Right.
The Triad pretty much is a hope, because I figure by then everybody will have been vaccinated twice. And we should reach herd immunity by that point. But who knows? Who knows what could happen? There could be variants out there, and we get another surge with the variants that the vaccine could not prevent. So, I'm hoping. But the Parkside Lounges reached out to me already to do shows again. So, and they're opening up in April. So they're opening up right away.
Right.
I told them I wasn't ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Until I get vaccinated twice, I'm not considering anything. I have diabetes. I'm 65 years old. I'm not in a good group to get a reinfection. I beat it once. I don't want to take the chance of beating it twice.
Okay.
but I am a tough MFer. I am.
That you are.
What does MFer stand for?
I, something like mother, famous mother.
Yeah, something like that.
Motherfucker.
Well, that's good. I was wondering what was happening because obviously so many, venues and bars have closed down. I was curious because sometimes this might sound kind of corny, but I've actually had dreams of being at Parkside. I've woke up and I'm like, oh wow, I don't even know if we'll ever do that again because I didn't even know if Parkside was still going to be open.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're holding forth. They're actually, they're keeping their head. They've applied for some grants and things. I'm sure it's not easy for them, but they've been open on a limited basis almost for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, they do They've been doing They did a lot of outside stuff.
Right.
The owner Chris is very smart, and he came up with ideas. He had COVID, by the way.
Wow.
I did too back in the day, back in like April, probably around the same time you did.
Yeah. So he's very smart. So he came up with a bunch of ways to make money and keep the thing afloat. So and I've helped him with. He's trying to do T-shirt sales, and I've been helping out with that. It's a tough time though. I don't know how much personnel he has working for him. I'm sure it's not very much, but I know he's been doing a lot of outdoor stuff. Okay. And now you'll start to see it again. Start doing outdoor stuff again.
Yeah. Now that it's starting to be not so terrible outside.
Right.
But he told me he's opening up for events in April, and he asked me what my thinking was, and I said, listen, when I get the 2 vaccinations, I'll start thinking of doing shows again. But until I'm not taking the chance, it's not for another open mic. It's not worth taking the chance.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I was one of the first, in fact, when COVID was just like a little bit more than a rumor. I was telling all the venue owners I don't want to do shows, and they said, no, it's not that bad. They were all trying to tell me that it wasn't that bad yet.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling, and I pulled the plug on every show. The one that I had Funkadelic, I cut out, and they all thanked me later for having the foresight to close it out. Who knows if somebody would have gotten, especially at some of those venues, they were so tight. Funkadelic was so tight, it would have been so easy to pass the infection along. I'm sure I think we did one event when COVID was like a thing, but not a big thing, but it was a thing, and we did an event, and I said, boy, if there was ever a place to pass the infection, it was in that place.
Yeah, those little rooms.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember even at Trevor's show, the last whatever Tuesday it was, I remember there being a palpable feeling of unease in the room.
And I tried to break that with humor. I kept making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was only so much you could do. It's like everybody, and I remember even Trevor, he was saying like everybody like thanks for coming out during COVID, and we were all just kind of like sitting there looking around. Like I remember being there that day, looking around and being like, I don't think this is gonna happen again for a while.
Yeah.
And we had a show.
That
at
same
SOB's
month.
the next week.
Yeah.
And I was like, Sifa, I have a feeling we're not playing that show.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, just everything.
Exactly. I was holding on for dear life.
But what I noticed, a lot of people were so invested, both financially and emotionally, that they refused to cancel, and they waited way too late to cancel shows. And some of them even went on with shows. And I was just I said, what's wrong with these people? I said, do they not care about their performers, their audience? You should do whatever you can to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
You should even protect them from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because performers will do anything to be on stage. I had performers this last year, in the height of COVID, were asking me if I was doing live shows.
And you're just like, are you kidding? Is this a joke?
Yeah.
And I said, are you kidding? And they're admonishing me for being scared.
I think
said, scared.
They're just concerned about their bottom line. I think that's the issue. And I think we're like, as a culture, especially this a New York culture, we're just kind of getting over showing up to work even though you're sick. Because I remember even like when I was a kid, like, people would go into the office even though they were sick. We as New Yorkers would go in the middle of a snowstorm. We would still go to work. And it's only been like, I think the past 10 years where like our legislature tells us stay home. Like, you know what I mean? Do not come inside and spread anything. But that's kind of new. So I think people were still going off of that for some reason.
But even performers, in the height of COVID, were asking me to do live shows. I go, you got to show a little bit of patience here. I know how desperate you are to get on stage and do 8 minutes of work, but it's not worth risking your life.
Right.
And, I tried to talk some sense to people, and people admonished me. And there are people doing events. There were a lot of comedy shows during the height of COVID.
Right, like in parks and stuff, right? Or
no, there was some inside
really?
places.
Oh, I didn't even know about that. That's crazy.
And poetry.
That's crazy.
And hip hop. Yes, that's crazy.
Wow.
But it shows you our ability to be in denial, our desperation to get on a microphone, our desperation to meet a bottom line, to keep making money. In my opinion, it was desperation. It wasn't normal.
Right.
They were defying all the information to get on stage or put on an event. Yeah. So I wouldn't get involved with any of that. I said, listen, I'm going to try the Zoom events, see how it goes. And I did one, and it did very well. And then I did two, and that did well. But now that the nice weather's coming, I've noticed there's been a slip in the attendance. So I may go back to one again. Yeah, because people want to be outdoors again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
During the winter, it's nice to have something they could do on Zoom. But once the nice weather comes and it's 50, 60 degrees, they want to be outdoors. I understand that. So the good thing is I found Zoom, and I like it. I think it has a certain charm and intimacy. And even when we start doing Parkside again and we try it again, I'll still do Zoom. Because what we've established is a whole group of people, a community outside of the tri-state area.
Right. I mean, it can literally be anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah,
anywhere in the world. So I'm getting a lot of poets and singers, Arizona, from Los Angeles, from North Carolina, from Indiana. I'm getting some even from across the pond. So I said to myself, this is fantastic. I said, so even if I do the in-person events again, I'm still going to hold on to at least one day a week to do the Zoom.
Are you hearing a buzzing?
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore though. But now.
Do you hear a buzz, Mike? Or are you good?
No, I do not. Maybe that's my heart. I don't know.
Can I move this?
Yeah, go for it. Huh. Yeah, no, that's exciting. I remember thinking that when we did it last time, that there was a lot of people from not just New York, and that this was something that could easily. Well, we still gotta have this here for. Wait, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Do you hear a difference when we go like that?
No.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, no, I remember thinking when we did it that, it was obviously bigger than just New York, so I thought I imagine that you would continue doing it even after in-person shows, so it's cool to see.
I knew that it would be bigger than New York. That's why I called it the World Open Mic. I knew that it had the potential to reach people from everywhere. And we've had poets from Ireland and Switzerland and Germany, singers. We had a singer last week from Peru. So it's great. Now the Inspired Word is known all over the world, so it expands our reach. And I told that to artists. I said, if you're looking to expand your reach, these Zoom events are really good because you're getting people that you would never have contact with. So now you have a new Instagram friend, and you have somebody who can love your music or your poetry. Other people got it. So it's a great way to network. People don't understand that the arts is so much bigger than talent. Everybody focuses on the talent part of it. And I can tell you, having lived in that world and succeeded in that world, talent is not even in first or second place. Mm-hmm. That achieving in the business has to do with networking and promotions.
It's funny that you said that because basically, I remember, I had gone to one of your marketing workshops before, and you were saying how, don't be addicted to the mic, right? And you kept saying that was one of your mantras, if you will, in the workshop. I still say
it and nobody listens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's interesting the way that it kind of worked with the pandemic. So obviously shows were closed, and we found ourselves in this situation where if we were going to continue, we were going to have to expand, and we were going to have to be doing all those other things. And now we find ourselves in a situation where, as shows are going to be coming back, our other things are going to be so much more robust and planned out because we've had this time to think of all that.
Yes, and that's great and that's what I advise people when I got out of my COVID and I started going back to my advice giving on Facebook. I told people to do that. Use this time to expand. But too many people, what I've noticed, they couldn't get on the mic in in-person venues. So what do? They go on Facebook. It's the same thing. They're still addicted to performing in front of the mic and having people tell them how wonderful they are. And that's not going to get you anywhere. Anywhere. I mean, it'll get you nowhere. The part of your time that it will get you zero return. There's nobody out there that you know that's going to say, wow, Sight After Dark is so good. I'm going to book them for a 5-record deal. I'm going to book them to be off Broadway. I'm going to get them on it. And that's what you have to realize, that, you know, the people that are making moves, and we had one very recently, Josh Holland, he auditioned for American Idol. That's how you move ahead. Mm-hmm. That's worth getting in front of the microphone. If you can get on the microphone for American Idol, do it. But on Facebook Live, on your Instagram, which people are doing what I've noticed, they're doing it every week. And I asked them, how long have you been doing this? They said, well, almost since the start of the pandemic. I'm doing it almost every week. And I go, and how far has it gotten you? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I love performing in front of people, and I love to share my work. That's great. That's great to love it. But you don't have to do it every week. Maybe do it once a month. Make people want it. Build the other aspects of your career. You know, the thing that you have to be as an artist is you have to be a marketeer and an artist. You have to have a business side and an art side. And I'm very lucky. I had that ability. I could switch one off and the other on. So at the times that I wasn't doing my work, I was doing the other side.
Right.
And you've got to think outside the box. How do you promote yourself? How do you get yourself out there? The people you don't know. How do you get a fan base? What I've noticed, and I've been doing this now 11 years, is, and I tell artists, you know, this is what you have to do to achieve any kind of level of success. You got to have people showing up at your shows that you don't know. Mm-hmm. If everybody is your friend and your family, that's going to run dry
real quick.
Right.
And so this is what I've learned in 11 years of doing it. It's not a small sample. It's not a small sample. It's 11 years that I featured a lot of artists. They draw less than 10. Mm-hmm. Less than 10. And every single one of them is friends and family. Not a single fan. So they're not only not drawing a lot, they don't have any fans. So that equals going nowhere. Going nowhere.
Right.
But what I noticed is they're going nowhere, but they're still featuring all over town. So they go from my venue, the parks, to the bitter end, to the what's the name of the other place? The musical, Rockwood Musical. So they'll go to all the different venues.
Right.
And they're still drawing like 5 people that are still their friends and family. So, in fact, I'm sure there are some places they draw less than 5. I've had people draw 0. I said, how can you possibly book a feature event and draw 0? How is that possible? What does that tell you? It tells you something really severely broken. Mm-hmm. So you got to fix that first before you start booking more features. So I say, why don't you do open? Oh, I don't want to do open mics. I love featuring. Of course you love featuring, but you're not ready for that level if you're drawing nobody to your features. That should, it's so frustrating, Daniel. I cannot begin. That's why I started doing those workshops, because it's so frustrating to see what people are doing and going nowhere. I mean, I've had some of my most talented performers, people that I knew 11 years ago, who are super talented, go nowhere, just go sideways. Never went up, not one level. And they've been doing it 11 years, and they're incredibly talented. So, but we've had a couple of people break through, but the ones that did things that were different. They didn't rely on doing their Facebook Live, and they took real steps, real risks. It's no risk to do a free Facebook Live event. It's no risk at all. Right. And usually something that has no risk, there's no gain.
Reward.
Right. Well, speaking of making like a whole new audience, like across the pond and in other states as well, like if things go as you hope or as we foresee, like if you get yourself vaccinated, is Inspired Word something that you would take like on the road? Like, would you?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I thought about it. Not at my age.
Okay.
I'm not traveling at 65 years old. You guys don't know. I had a career before this, and as a journalist, I was on the road 2 weeks a month sometimes.
Wow. Okay.
And sometimes 3 months straight.
Right. So you've done that. You've lived that life.
I've done it. I've lived that life, and I loved it. Wherever I wanted to go on a vacation, I would come up with an idea for a story that took it to a very warm, beautiful place. So I would always tell my magazine or my newspaper, I got this really great story idea in San Diego. And they would send me to San Diego. So I would go to San Diego for free for a week, 2 weeks, and write a story, but, live the life. And, I got to cover spring training for almost my entire career. So I was in Florida or Arizona for like 2 months during the winter.
Okay.
A great time to be
Yeah,
there.
I was about to say, that's a good time to be there. But
Yeah. So I lived that life already. No, I thought about doing it on the road for a while. I can barely make it on the subway now to get to Parkside. It's strenuous. So yeah, it's not something that I want to do. I'd like to do more events. If you're asking me what my aspirations are now, I want to do more events off Broadway and sell out the Triad Theater, which is 135 seats. Sell out those shows. Maybe go to another venue a little bit bigger that holds 185 to 200. Sell out those shows, and then start looking at Broadway.
Yeah, that would be. That's awesome. That's obviously. I feel like it's a very achievable goal for you.
Yeah, very achievable.
Are you using a webcam that's plugged in, or are you using the? I feel like every time you're talking now, we're getting like a buzz.
That's plugged in. Plugged in the way.
You don't really do.
Nobody else gets a buzz. I do Zoom events every week, and
that you do. That you do.
So I think whatever the buzz is, it's your end.
Yeah.
You want me to try turning off my sound and turning it back on?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, not a problem.
And should we like unplug and plug back in or something?
It's not
All right, I'm back.
Not really. I don't know.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't I hear?
No, it's good.
You can't hear us?
Hear you?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Now it just stopped.
I said I can't hear the buzz.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, it's gone now, so I don't know what that was.
We're back in effect.
It's probably on your.
It may have been.
Well, whatever it was, it's we figured it out.
Woo!
So we're back. But yeah, so I don't know. It's good to talk to you. Obviously, we used to see each other literally once a week, and it's so weird that obviously we met at the Inspired Word, and we were really only a band for like a year or so before the pandemic happened. So it's just weird because everything has changed, and it's like what you were saying. We've been trying to, obviously there's all things we can always improve on, but we've been trying to expand and think of other ways to do it just because it hasn't been an option. And when we last saw you, we didn't even have a website, we didn't even have any merch, we didn't have like anything, and now we got the website, we have a merch, our LLC is established, we're doing all kinds of things to kind of.
How is your fan base? Do you have a fan base?
We're getting there slowly. We're having a few people that we don't know personally that talk to us all the time, that every time we put out like a YouTube video or whatever, they're telling us, they're always reaching out to us. And right now it's it's a relatively small number, but obviously it starts small and that's how it gets bigger.
Yeah, we went from like.
That's where
That's
where your focus should be right now. During the pandemic is a perfect. You've had a whole year to build your fan base. If you didn't build your fan base during this time, what a wasted moment.
Right.
Because that's so important, and this is the perfect time to do that. Not to continue to play more before people, especially for free.
Yeah.
It's another thing. I'm against free events and think it's okay to do maybe the first year you're doing it, but then you got to stop doing it because people get too used to seeing you for free. By the time you start charging for it, they're not going to pay for it.
Yeah, they're like, what? We've already seen you for free 10 times. What do we need to pay for?
Yeah.
Right.
I know people that know for 11 years is still doing free events because they're desperate to be in front of the mic. So that desperation has sabotaged their career. There's no turning back. They will not make it at this point. Pretty much, you've got a 5-year window from the time that you start to make it. Can it happen after? Sure. Is it likely? No. 5 years. You've exposed your talent out there. You've had time to build a fan base. If it doesn't happen within 5 years, that's true not only for music, true in my business too, as a promoter or event producer. When I was a journalist, I gave myself 5 years. I said, if I can't make a living in 5 years, I'm out. Now, would I have kept true to that? I don't know. I was so in love with writing. I'm not sure, I could have made that decision, but that's what I told myself. I gave myself that deadline. And, but, this is a great time to build an audience. And then when things open up to test, it's one thing to have people that talk to you. Right. But will they borrow your music and will they go to your events and pay money?
Right.
There's a famous line, everybody loves art until they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, and that was the thing that, because when I started do event producing, I never produced events before. Mm-hmm. I was 55 years old. I never produced an event. So I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew one thing, that I had to charge for it from the beginning. And I charged $10 from the very beginning.
Right.
And I got Facebook, people were slamming me on Facebook for charging $10 for a poetry event. But we had 70 people show up the first show. We had 80 people. We had 50, 40. So why did they show up? Because we had built a fan base.
Right.
I didn't know anybody in the poetry. I was a journalist. I knew no poets at all. I knew nobody. All the people that were in fact, my friends didn't show up for the show. My friends and family did not show up for the show. In all the years I've been doing this, I've had one cousin show up once.
Really?
Yeah. That's
wow. So it was all people I didn't know. But I understood, marketing and promotions. I was actually a marketing professional for almost 2 years. So after I retired from journalism, and as a journalist, when you do journalism, especially I did a lot of column stuff, you have to know how to tap into what people are looking for. So I understood it innately, mm-hmm. how to promote an event. But and I'm a very hard worker. But I knew that because everybody said, "Why aren't you targeting the talent?" I said, "The talent will come, but I'd rather have an audience,
right,
first, before the talent starts coming to me. Because once I get the audience, the talent will come, because they want the crowd. What do you want? You don't want to perform before 3 people. I don't care who you are. You want to perform before 50 and 100. So that's what I concentrated. That was when people asked me what my strategy was when I first started this. I focus only on audience, not on talent at all. I didn't market to talent at all, but the talent ended up coming.
That's great.
So so that that's what I tell people. You got to get an audience. I had somebody on Facebook, and she's been performing for years, and I won't mention her name. I don't want to embarrass her, but she had a question after all these years. When do you start asking for money for features? And I saw all the answers from her friends, and they were all what I expect from other amateurs, because they don't understand the dynamics. They all think they should get paid a lot of money. Oh, you're speaking for $100, know your worth. And the truth is, they don't know what their worth is. They have it's what they think, and it's an arbitrary number.
Well, the worth for any show would be who you bring, right?
Value. So I couldn't help it. I wasn't going to write anything because I knew the whole thread would pounce on me when I told them the truth.
Did they?
Because they all want to be paid for doing nothing. They want to be paid for their talent. You're not paid for talent.
Right.
You're paid for value. Now, part of your value is talent, but that's only part of your value. If you're super talented and draw nobody to the show, you're worth nothing. Then you don't care how talented you are if you don't fill their seats. They need somebody to drink. They don't need talented. Now, if your talent brings people in, different story.
Right.
So I wrote exactly that. I said, you're thinking too much of talent. I said, you can charge any money per value. You ask us for your feature, but you're not going to get it because you're not worth it. You have value. You have to develop value. And in the workshops, you should remember, Daniel, I had a bunch of different develop value. But the number one develop value is to provide the bottom line for a venue.
Well, I mean, it's all a business at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah.
A business.
Yeah. And that's
you don't talent. Everybody thinks they get paid for talent.
No.
That's one of the misconceptions that I'm so talented. I worked so hard at my craft that I should be paid for that. And that's not what you get paid. I knew a lot of writers in my time. There were terrible writers who worked very hard on their writing, but they were terrible. You don't get paid for working hard on something. And you don't get paid for being very talented. You get paid for being very talented and meeting the bottom line of the venue.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it all comes down to, right?
And if you anything else, yeah. It's the same way with even big artists. If they put out an album and it doesn't sell me, they're not going to get many deals after that. I remember one artist, more than one artist, tell me, I don't promote. That's your job. You're the producer. I said, do you ever watch any of these shows on TV? Don't you see the stars of movies, guys who put out a new album? They're on the late night shows. They're on the weekend shows promoting them. Of course. Because that you have to, even at their level. Oh, I don't promote. That's your job. I go, great. Stay true to that for the rest of your career, because you will be exactly where you are now 30 years from now. That'll never work. If you don't promote, you will never get 1 inch further than you are right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But still, it's like, I think what happens is some people really believe these things that I don't promote. That's, they want to be distant from it. They want to be prima donna and they think you're going to be able to draw 150 people to an event without them doing any promotion. So I think what happens is, what I've noticed is a lot of amateurs give amateurs advice. And amateurs giving is the blind leading the blind. And I always say, you must have seen this quote many times, don't take professional advice from amateurs. No, unfortunately, that happens way too often.
Yeah.
But I actually think it's a good discussion, Daniel. This is a good way for the direction of this podcast, because this is something that people need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People need to hear this stuff, because a lot of people are very talented and going nowhere. But I'm very happy, Josh Holland. I don't know if you remember, Josh. He wore the Elton John glass.
Oh
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to Hollywood for American Idol. He got past the audition.
That's cool.
So very proud of him. And one of our singers won one of the big events 3 years ago. I forgot the name of the event. It was one of the big shows. I think. What was his name? The guy. Anyway, she won the whole event. And it was one of the big NBC singing shows, but it wasn't
like
The Voice, and I can't remember what the name of the
Not
show.
America's Got Talent. Not that one.
No, it wasn't AGT. A couple people go far on AGT, but this was one of the new singing shows. What was the guy that sang "Fuck You"?
CeeLo.
You remember that
Green.
song?
Yeah.
CeeLo was one of the judges.
That is The Voice.
Yeah, he was one of the judges.
I don't remember.
I
I don't watch
Is that
any of
The
those
Voice?
really.
Yeah. He was on The Voice for a bit.
Well, whatever it was, good for them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
exactly.
But she was on the show, and I was so proud of her. And you could tell she had talent, but she had more than talent. You could tell that she had a business head, and she had winning the whole thing.
That's super.
And John Legend was on the show. He was one of the biggest. John Legend.
Yeah, I think that was the.
Because she ended up.
I think that was
swear it's The Voice. It's just a different season. I think they changed up the judges.
Yeah, and she ended up co-writing a song with John Legend that John recorded. So what a great, I mean, that's everybody's dream. So, and she was on our stage. She was just another open micer on our stage, never even featured for us. She was just an open micer on our stage. So there are some people that will through, but the ones that break through are the ones that take the biggest risk. And you got to get out to those shows. Everybody's, I don't want to be an American Idol. I don't believe in those shows. I said, really? You don't want to be in front of 100 million people? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, talk about.
So
promotion.
they say it doesn't make any.
Yeah, no, you definitely need promotion.
Even if it doesn't make you into a star, you'll be working for the rest of your life, just on that credit alone.
Mm-hmm.
If you make it to the end stages of that, you'll be working for the rest of your life. You may not be working Las Vegas, but you'll be working somewhere and making money as a singer.
Oh yeah, like
and you'll
even
be exposed to so many more people than you would have been otherwise.
Yeah, entertainment wise, like we as dancers, we got gigs just being able to say who we danced backup for. Like that's how you got like a teaching gig, a choreography gig, because you were able to get through to an audition to dance for somebody all the time. Like that was like that's like your claim to fame. That's on your resume. You know, it's so interesting.
So why so you have to think. Why do people say that? Why do people say I don't want to be on that show?
Fear.
I don't believe in those shows.
Probably fear of rejection,
insecurity,
right?
fear. I think, right?
Denial about what they need to do to get to.
Yeah.
They want to feel they're above all that. They want to make it. They want to make it on their talent.
I'm better than that.
And they don't want to be. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to be a commercial artist. Like, with all sorts of ways to sabotage themselves. And you're right, fear and insecurity, fear, doubt, insecurity, all that.
Yeah. It's crazy what you say about promotion too, because even some of our favorite artists will like put out an album and their record company won't even promote it, and you'll think that artist is kind of like falling off, and it's just because their record company is just like, oh, we just don't want to promote you anymore, and all of a sudden that artist is not even fun or cool to you anymore, just simply because of that. So that's interesting that you say that about promotion as well. It's crazy.
The industry has changed so much. I went to a concert before the pandemic. David Crosby.
Okay.
Crosby, Stills, Nash
and Young. You have to add
pretty
Young.
Iconic.
It's not the same without Young.
Well, he wasn't there for long.
Damn.
He was the temperamental one.
I like.
He didn't last long. But he at the end of the concert he said, guys. He says, I've got CDs in the back for sale. Please buy them here, because if you buy them online, I get virtually nothing.
Right.
So please, even somebody at that level was asking us. It shows you how the industry has changed. There's no record deals anymore, pretty much. Everything now is going on the road and selling out venues. Mm-hmm. And record deals are sort of unheard of. Making money online is sort of unheard of unless they go a certain way. There are certain artists that have gone independent, so they make all the money. But if you go through the big organizations, you end up making no money. So
those deals are not artist friendly at all.
Yeah, unless you do them on your own, and some are famous enough where, like Dave Chappelle could do anything he wants.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't need anybody.
No.
He could put on his own event and stream them and make a ton of money. So so the industry has changed so much. You have to think of however the industry, and it changed for me too as a journalist. When it went from typewriter to computer, everything changed. Right? And attention span changed. I used to do long stories. Now they're real short. So, and since I got paid by the word,
Wow.
I couldn't get paid a lot once the word shrunk.
Right.
Wow.
If I'm doing a 10,000 word story, I'm getting paid by the word, and then the next 10 years I'm getting paid, for 1,000 words. I'm getting 1/10 of what I used to make.
Right.
So, there's always a time in any industry where you're going to have to adjust. But that's your job as artists. You have to. That's why you've got to be really business minded. You've got to adjust to what's happening in this, and you gotta think out a strategy. It should be written down strategy of how you're going to make it.
Oh, I believe in that.
Write it down, like from A to Z, every step. Write out how am I going to make? Because you'll just be wandering around,
Right.
going in all different directions with no straight line goal. What do they say? The fastest way between 2 points is a straight line. You don't want to go in different direction because you want to get to where you want to go.
Right.
Somebody asked me my superpower the other day, and I said, getting to where I want to go. Now, that's my superpower. I was always very good at that. If I wanted to work for a magazine, I zeroed in on that magazine and I worked for that magazine. If there was a subject that was a difficult subject to get, maybe an iconic celebrity, I zeroed in on it and I got that. I was well known for that. That's why I got a lot of assignments, because the editors knew that if I zeroed in on somebody, I was getting them.
Tunnel vision.
Even the most difficult. And being smart, figuring out, like a Rubik's Cube, you keep moving it until all the colors align. But I went after some of the most difficult to get celebrities and got every single one of them. I think there was one I didn't get, but it got like, I got Kareem Abdul Jabar to sit down with me for 10 straight days. Unheard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
I remember
awesome.
you mentioning that on one of the shows or whatever before, and that still blows my mind.
Unheard of. He had not done anything, not any print interview, for like 20 years, and the length of interview that I did with him, I don't think was ever done ever in his career, even when he was a young guy. I spent 10 straight days with him, to the point where he was probably fed up with me. I know he wanted to punch me at some point. I asked like one question and made a joke, and he was not happy with it. But I got him. I got Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper was sort of difficult to get. And I got a quarterback named Randall Cunningham who wasn't talking to the media. He cut off the entire media, and I got him. I got Ricky Henderson when Ricky Henderson wasn't talking to the media. That was, and I got a lot of work from having that ability.
Right.
So again, I found this is all good for any artist, finding a niche where you own it. I own that niche. I could get a difficult celebrity to sit down with me and fess up. That was another one. I had the ability to get people to talk and say things that they didn't really want to say. Some reporters, the celebrities don't want to say anything. So careful. I made people so comfortable that they would find themselves saying things that they can say, I can't believe I told all that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially if you're sitting down with someone for 10 days.
Ways.
Yeah.
Well, he was very difficult. I did not succeed on every one of those 10 days. I would say 4 of those days I couldn't get a thing out of him.
Yeah, and
but he was a very moody guy.
And he's like,
no, again, I'm so good on my feet. I hate to keep saying how good I am, but there were things that I was very good at. I'm very good on my feet, so I would just kept figuring out a way, trying to figure out a way. Some days nothing worked.
Right.
I remember one day I said, I know I'm going to open him up today because I'm a big jazz fan. I've seen Miles Davis live. I said, I'm going to talk to him about jazz because he's a huge jazz fan. He's got pictures on his wall of jazz figures. I got him. So I started asking about jazz. Nothing.
Wow.
I couldn't get him. I would say, I've seen Miles. I said, I saw Miles Davis twice. And he goes, wow, that's great.
cool.
That would be it. He went nowhere with it. It wouldn't all right. So then I said, I got it. So I would have like about 5 things like that. I knew he was from New York City. That's where he was, in New York City. So I said, I'm going to tell him I'm a native New Yorker. This was in Malibu where he lived at the time. I don't know if he still does. Not Malibu, Beverly Hills. So I said, I'll mention New York. He'll love talking to me about New York back in the day. Nothing. I started mentioning things about New York. Nothing. So some days, no matter what I came up with, nothing worked. So I would leave his house early. I'd say, well, gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow. And then I remember the next day, we started talking about mothers, because his mother had died a year before and he was a mama's boy. He wasn't a daddy's boy. He was a real mama's boy. And his mom had died a year early, and I asked him the effects of losing his mother, and he opened up completely to the point where he started asking me about my mother. And my mother died when I was very young. He started asking, so he was curious about me, and this is no joke, guys. I started crying. He's asking me so many questions about my mother, and they're very interesting questions and deep delving questions. I started to cry. It's one of the few things that makes me cry is talking about my mom, because she died at such a, when I was 16 years old. And so I remember I cried and I apologized to him. And he says, don't worry. He says, don't think about it. He says, that's one thing you never get over.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I saw a side of him. It was great that I did cry, because 2 things happened. One, I saw a side of him that I probably wouldn't have seen if I didn't cry. Mm-hmm. I saw a real compassionate, empathetic side to him. And also, our interviews after that were never the same, because he viewed me at that point on as a human being. Yeah. I was a human being.
Right, not just a journalist.
Not just a tough guy journalist, that I was a human being. So I didn't do it for that reason. That wasn't a strategy.
Right.
But it did work. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make with you guys is you've always got to try to figure out a way and think outside the box. What is everybody trying and failing with? Forget about it. Try something else. Keep trying things that nobody tries. Because most of the people that I know in our network, they're trying the same thing over and over and getting the same results, which is nowhere. So you got to do something different.
Yeah, you've got like my wheel spinning as I'm staring at you. So I'm like,
yes, your wheel should always be.
And this is part of the reason why we were so excited to talk to you, because like you were saying before, don't take professional advice from amateurs or whatever. We know that if there's anyone we know that's not an amateur, it's you. And we knew that we would have a great conversation, and that you would, I don't want to say inspire because it's kind of corny, because inspired word, but it's kind of inspiring. You know what I mean? So yeah, we really just want to thank you for even taking the time to do that. That's my life's mission. You're doing a great job for us. That's my life's mission. The thing is, I got to where I wanted to go in life. I reached all my dreams and then some. I exceeded my expectations. And I had a couple of mentors, and one in particular who wasn't a writer. He was a retired Wall Street Journal salesman of all things. But the thing that he understood is sales. Mm-hmm. He knew how to sell. And that to me, because I ended up taking courses with him. He gave free courses for like a bunch of people in the city. He would go around, but he was free. So he says, you got to understand, even though you think I can't help you because I'm not a writer, he says, you got to understand that I know sales, and in the art you're selling yourself. You're the product, and you got to be able to sell yourself to other people. And so he taught me everything I know. And at the end of the time with him, because I spent a year with him, and I zoomed. My career went up 2 levels with him, and I used all the things he told me. And I said, let me take it out for dinner. I knew I wasn't going to see him for a while because I wasn't taking the courses anymore. And I said, what can I do for you? And he said, nothing. I don't need dinner, he says, just pass it on. So I made him that promise. He's gone now for many years, but I made him a promise to pass it on, and so that's what I do.
So I teach people how to sell themselves, which is the key to this, to being in the arts. That's the key. That's what all the successful ones do, is they're really good at selling themselves, but it's not talent.
Well, you're doing a great job, and you're giving us lots of great sound bites, and and we're glad that we could have this platform to expose your thinking even more. And again, we just sorry, go ahead.
Anytime, guys. Anytime you need me for anything, if you have another line of questioning, but this is important, and this will help people that are going to tune into your show. This is very important, and artists too are living in a dream world, and they think like one day someone's going to discover them at a show, that they'll be at the Rockwood Music Hall, and there'll be a great A&R scout there that'll discover them, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you got to figure out another way.
Yeah, well, all right. I think we just want to thank you for your time. I think that's a good way to end it for today. I mean, we hope to see you, in real life at some point soon when it becomes safe.
Definitely.
And obviously, we wish you
I would say within the next 6 months. Yeah, I would say within the next 6 months, when everybody will be vaccinated. Probably by the end of May, they'll have their 2 shots. So I think herd immunity should come pretty soon after that. So we're looking at what like July maybe, when things will start. I mean, that's what even Biden said. July 4th is when his target date was. Mm-hmm. So if it's July 4th, fantastic. But everybody stay safe.
You too.
Wear your masks. Social distance.
Yes.
Except from each other.
Well, you too, Mike, and thank you so much for spending time with us, talking to us. I mean, you're always just like a gem of information. I mean, I always like to hear from you. I like to stay close to you on Facebook and watch your posts, even what you post on Marvin's page. I just always like to hear what you've got to say, whether it's just small and funny. So I
love teasing.
Yeah. It's so funny. But yeah, you've definitely become something special to us, and we just appreciate you so much.
Oh, wow. That means a lot to me. Since COVID started, I've had no contact with any human being. I haven't seen anybody in over a year.
Wow.
Nobody. I signed a deal to have one of my stories made into a movie. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I didn't see that.
But, yeah. You were one of the few. I got like 600 likes on that one. Yeah, one of my stories that I did 20 years ago. Film company found it and asked me if I'd sign over the rights to have it made into a movie. I said, and I came up with a deal. The deal is very good. If it ever gets made into a movie, I'll make a lot of money. But he had to physically come over with the contract and have me sign it. So that's the only contact I've had since March of 2020. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. That's something.
So
well, we hope you're staying sane over there, Mike.
Yeah, you seem like it.
I'm a writer. I spend all my life alone. It's no big deal for me. I'm not going through the stuff that a lot of other people are going through that are more social. I'm not a social person. I'm pretty much a loner. Anybody that knows me knows that I wasn't social anyway. Most of the time I spend is with myself. That's why I've never been married. I can't be married. I just don't. It's not who I am. I have wonderful ex-girlfriends. They're all my Facebook friends. Whenever I put up something about an ex-girlfriend, I always get a message on my Facebook. Is it me that you're talking? Because I have 6 ex-girlfriends up there. But it being alone and secluded doesn't affect me at all.
That's cool.
Well, good. We're just glad that you're doing well.
Yeah.
That, everything that's happening, you're still kicking it. You're still doing what you do, and we just really appreciate you being you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for asking me, and let's do this again.
Definitely.
And we'll see you at one of the open mics within probably a week or so.
Okay. All right, guys.
All right, well, there you had it. Mike Geffner from Inspired Word. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Stay well.
All right, guys.
Bye. So sweet.